struggle streaming already. So let me start over. Thank you for coming in. G.R.O.W.T.H podcast. I will go back and edit. I forgot I had to mute it real quick. But I appreciate y'all coming in. Today is April 27th, 2023. It is about a good 58, 60 degrees here in the city of the A, Atlanta, Georgia. Hoping the Hawks pull out another win, push this thing to 7 games tonight against the Celtics. But again, thank you all for being in here. Y'all see the thumbnail, but first and foremost, I gotta thank my partner, Broker Traditions. Salute to him. I said I was thanking him, and I thanked him in person for the cash app he sent, but I wanted to thank him in public. I kept forgetting. So y'all see, I'm out here in the garage. I'm getting ready to light up a cigar so we can have this conversation about the LGBTQIA+. And it's something that's been discussed before, but now we're starting to wonder, is the plus for pedophilia? Are they preying on the kids? Is there an agenda that's starting to come out? So I'm not going to bog you down with a whole bunch of reading. I do have some clips. I have quite a few clips that I want to show because, again, it's coming from the horse's mouth. So give me 1 second. Let me drop this link in the chat for those that may want to come on and make sure you cam up. Drop that in here. I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat. Come back real quick. Again, thank you all for being in here. Make sure as you come in, you hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all know how YouTube work. Y'all know how the algorithm work. It's going to help the channel grow. I really want y'all to discuss this after the broadcast, after you come on and, give your comments, drop your comments in the chat, and give your comments on camera. Only thing I do ask, as you come in, wipe your feet, take your shoes off before you come in the house, hit the like button, and cam up when you're on camera. So I'm not going to belabor the point. Y'all stick with me as I get ready to light up. We're going to see how this conversation goes. Again, I'm in a different space today out here in the garage. If this works for y'all, let me know. If it doesn't work for you, let me know, and I'll switch it back up. I probably will switch it back up later on this week and go back into the house, into the the little studio setup I have. But Sundays, I may do a cigar Sunday and start having more of these conversations like that, just an open forum and lighting up a cigar and just come out there and chill with the boy. But I am gearing up again for that every day in May. I am going to go live every day in May for those that were on that broadcast. Again, I'm down the street from the airport. So if you guys do hear airplane, I think it's more farther off in the distance. But yeah, I just wanted to give that disclaimer if some noise does come through. But I'm here in the garage. It should be a little bit muffled. But first things first, I'm going to get into the first clip and start having this discussion. Because this is how things first start. Let me preface this clip. So this isn't necessarily LGBTQIA+, it's just the wokeism of America and where we are, where we're starting to blur those gender lines and come up with all this off-the-cuff stuff that really, really does not make a difference, in my opinion. I don't want to be insensitive, but it doesn't make a difference, in my opinion, as far as, how we interact as people. You'll see. Let me turn off this alarm as well. I've been doing everything under the sun, juggling, working today, trying to get ready for this live. But let's go. First clip.
Is embroiled in a controversy over the use of a single common word.
So the word is ladies. So here's the backstory here. Former East Hampton High School principal Vito Perrone was recently offered the job as district superintendent. But the offer was suddenly withdrawn late last month after Perrone wrote an email to 2 female school committee members and addressed them as, quote, ladies.
They explained to me that they were insulted by the address, and I said, well, I grew up at a time, 60s, 70s, when ladies and gentlemen was a term of respect.
Well, parents and students rallied in support of Perone Monday afternoon. A petition to recall the school committee has gathered at least 700 signatures, and Monday night's virtual committee meeting was canceled after so many people logged on, the site crashed.
Tonight, Quincy.
So what do y'all think about that? You got a man, again, raised a certain way, raised in a certain era. He didn't call anybody the F word, didn't call the women out their name, simply addressed them as ladies and got all that blowback, to include being offered a job and having that job opportunity taken away because somebody didn't like what he said. So it starts off with that. And I remember years ago, I got into a heated debate with one of my friends. I'll share that story, but this is along those lines, where it started off with something somebody said. We're in a country nowadays where everybody's pissed off over words. We're not even talking about actual actions, where somebody took something from somebody, where he grabbed a boob, something of that nature. He wrote a professional email, addressed it as ladies. I just sent one myself earlier today with ladies at the top of the email. Should I not be in the military anymore? I addressed some men as gentlemen. And how do you know, as considered proper etiquette in the way that any of us working in any type of corporate setting ever have done, you learn email etiquette. So he used proper email etiquette and it still wasn't good enough. And this man lost his job before he even got it. This is worse than getting fired on your damn day off. We're gonna get into the next clip, but I wanted to show that one to kind of piggyback off of that and show it as a catalyst of how things start. Now we know the horse is out the barn as far as the LGBTQIA plus is concerned. The horse is way out the barn. Like I say, it's out the barn and it's ran down the dirt road. But we're here now. But little things like that is where this thing starts to transition, for lack of a better term, where you can't say anything. You can't have a general conversation without walking on eggshells, being afraid of losing your job, your livelihood, your opportunity to take care of your family, yourself and your family, losing a job or being put out of school. We'll get to that in a second. But let's get on to the next clip. A little bit of humor this time.
What's something you learned growing up that apparently is no longer true?
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Now that was back then. It was a little cute joke at a movie from back in the 90s. But the way the guy presented it, it's funny, we kiki, we giggle, but that's where we're at. Don't believe me? Let's go to the next clip. Shout out to brother Reza Islam. I think they damn near banned him from all social media. So anytime we see this brother, try to support whoever posted it. Try to support him, because he was coming out telling a lot of the truth when they were talking about the jab especially. And they got rid of that brother quick off of so many social media outlets. I think he damn near banned for all of them for telling the truth. But you know what happens when you tell the truth? Again, this is where we are in this country now. In this clip, he's interviewing a trans male, female, I think was originally a guy, of course, transitioned to a woman, older black person. So they done lived it. This is that post immediate civil rights era, plus being, queer, going through so much. But listen to what is said about the targeting of children.
Let me ask you this. Should trans women be allowed, in your opinion, to fight, compete against, run against, swim against biological women?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell. We are physically stronger. And if we take hormones or what have you, and I know a lot of my sisters get mad about that, but you know who did this shit? I'm going to blame the ESPY Awards. Y'all started this. Y'all cut the cord and released this ball by giving a bitch that became a woman in 22 minutes. That microwave Caitlyn Jenner became a woman in 22 minutes, discarding every woman that was in sports or any other thing by giving her Woman of the Year.
Yes.
It was disrespectful. And if you go back and look at that video, when they panned that audience, the faces were disgruntled, distasteful. That was when the whole cancel culture and woke culture really kicked off. So if you say anything, they taken away everything. They have taken away many from me.
Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Oh, I'd be mad as shit if I was a woman.
You won't take this.
Wow.
You damn sure won't take this, and you'll never take this.
That's right.
That's
real.
It is so unfair.
That is very real.
And when I saw that story about the swimmer maybe last year who ranked 530 something with the men, but was #1 over the women, that was self-explanatory.
I think it was Riley Gaines and Leah Thomas.
That was you didn't need to go into a whole. This nigga beat these women. That's exactly what it was.
And was allowed to do it.
And didn't tuck his penis, walking around in the dressing room with his junk out in front of my daughter. Even I'm transgender. I don't want my daughter exposed to that.
Heard it from the horse's mouth. Again, tongue in cheek with the sound bites. I'm not trying to be disingenuous or disrespectful. But this is what it is. You have men competing with biological women, beating them at the sports that they have worked so hard for. We've set those things apart for a reason. And I'm big. I got girls. One of my girls plays sports. So to have her compete against a boy and potentially lose a scholarship or lose something that she's worked her life for, the parents have poured into financially. And somehow, some way, this shit makes sense to so many people just in the name of wokeness. But you see the person that was being interviewed was saying they're trans and they don't want their children exposed to that. Because it starts out at an Olympic level, and then of course, if it's okay there, it's gonna start trickulating down all the way down to middle school locker rooms, high school locker rooms, so on and so forth. But let's get on to the next clip. I'm not gonna belabor the point. I just wanted to have this thing kind of flow where you can hear this from trans people who have literally made the transition from one gender to the next and find something wrong with, make sure my sound didn't go out. Find something wrong with people targeting these kids because it's been a big back and forth about there's no agenda, you're just a homophobe, which is why I put the thumbnail up that I put up, but nobody wants to have the discussion. And then we start having a discussion, then that comes the name calling, you're a homophobe, let people live. So it's okay for you to have your opinion, but I can't have my opinion in my own household and teach my kids one thing. And then when they go out there and take that message out to the world, then it's an issue. But you can raise your kids how the fuck you want to, and then have them go out to the world and tell my kids they're wrong. And potentially, again, cost somebody's livelihood because you don't like what the fuck was said. Or you're not doing shit about what was done to somebody, even when it's coming out of a trans person's mouth. But let's move on. Another tongue-in-cheek one, but just think about it.
Can I talk about abortion? No, because you don't have a uterus. If I don't have uterus, can I be a woman? Of course you can.
Once again, that type of shit makes sense to so many people, and I'm still trying to figure out how and why. You get to dictate one thing, but you don't want to massage the other. You got such a hard line on, you shouldn't talk about this. Again, words. You can't talk about abortion, but you get to be a woman. Then you want to argue if trans women are really women, and if you say yes, the trans women are really women, but he used to be a man, still don't have a uterus, so now he can talk about abortion because he cut his dick off? Let's move on.
So let me just get this straight. In the last few years, a biological male has been named Woman of the Year on several magazine covers. A biological male is referenced as a top-ranking female in our White House. A biological male was named the NCAA Women's Swimmer of the Year. A biological male is making tens of thousands of dollars being the face of womanhood for Nike, for Tampax, for Bud Light, for Kate Spade and countless other companies. A biological male took home the award for Best Actress at the Golden Globes. Are we really still trying to make the case that feminism supports women when the feminists are completely silent and or cheering on biological men taking over the space of women? Somebody spell this out for me.
Be mad all you want to. She's 100% right. Haven't heard shit from feminists. Haven't heard shit from male feminists that support this type of shit. You're having men go from males to women, whether it's actual surgery, hormone blockers, or just fucking cross-dressing. And nobody's saying a word. This is acceptable in our society. And when it happens, this is the thing about America. If it's popular, then people run with it. And to argue that this LGBTQIA plus is not popular would be disingenuous and would be a lie. When it's at our highest levels of government, when it's moving down to, again, sports, things like that, things that pique people's interest, when this starts at that level and then it starts coming down to the average everyday person, you can't tell me that it's not being popularized, that it's not being pushed. Again, in the name of an agenda. I think I got somebody in here. Yo, what's going on, BT? Missed a couple of clips, brother. Can you cam up if you want to talk? If not, all good. I'm gonna keep running with these clips that I got going, man. You see, I'm out here in the garage. Give me 1 second, it'll take a pull. So y'all seen the thumbnail. Again, shout out to brother BT. I just been over here cooking, man. But some of these clips that are going, I'm going to pull up some of the articles that you sent, Broken Traditions. I'm going to pull some of those articles up. But I really stuffed this with clips tonight because I wanted people to hear actual people, real live people, discuss what was going on in the LGBTQIA plus trans community and this agenda that's being pushed. There's so many people for the last few years have been saying there is no gay agenda, but the clips show otherwise. So I'm gonna get on to the next one. Where we at? This, if I remember correctly, this particular clip is a little bit low, so I turn it up as high as I could get it. So just try to catch it, and then I'll go on to the next one.
This is what happens whenever you ask a transgender activist to explain even the basic premise of the movement, is they'll immediately say, well, who cares? Why are you so obsessed with this? I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not the one who started sending men into the women's bathroom and taking away their trophies and castrating kids. I'm perfectly happy with the way things have worked for thousands of years. It is the transgender activists who are trying to upend everything. And so I think it is at least my right to ask the question, okay, what is the premise of your movement? But they always deflect from that. They always withdraw from the debate. They always try to change the subject because there is no answer. So you ask me, well, what's the purpose of, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biological sex? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women. We have special sports leagues for women. We have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges and that are for women that are not for men. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history and are enshrined in our law, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women. And they can't do the latter, and I'm not willing to do the former, and I don't think women across this country are willing to do the former, even if a few people have been so ideologically blinded that they would give in to this kind of an absurdity.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question.
What did I just say? We got certain spaces for women, especially when it comes to sports, and specifically, as the guy just said, you have certain civil liberties that are afforded to women. But now you can have a man get afforded whatever civil liberties he has, decides he wants to do something later on in life, become a woman, and then pivot over there and take that. I played the clip earlier where Dave Chappelle was like, they gave Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year as her first year as a woman. You know how pissed I would be if I was a woman? But this is where we're at. Again, to please somebody. We've put so much emphasis. I know I'm taking a pivot on my usual content. We've put so much emphasis on women. This is kind of where I'm alluding to with a lot of this, that women can do no wrong. So you have men that feel like a woman all of a sudden, or maybe they felt like that their entire life. Again, I don't want to be disrespectful. Maybe you felt that your whole entire life, but now you get to decide to switch over and you're taking something away, particularly in sports and scholarships and schools and possibly jobs, from actual women who bleed every month. But we're not supposed to say anything just because we're men, or women that disagree with it. I played a clip of a white girl earlier that was saying she was so confused, disagree with it. But guess what? She would be deemed a homophobe and other things of that nature. And bring up these comments here. It's big facts, BT. It's big facts, brother. I shouted you out. I know I told you thanks for the Cash App a couple of lives ago, but I thanked you in private. I wanted to make sure I thanked you in public, and now you're in here. So thank you again. I'll start off the stream, struggle streaming for like the first 15, maybe 30 seconds. I was sitting here talking to air because I had the microphone muted. But yeah, you missed that part, bro. But let me get into the next one. This was one I found super interesting. For everybody saying, oh, this is how somebody really feels. You can never question how somebody really feels. You're not in their shoes.
How many people so far have been transferred to this female prison?
Approximately 40.
And how many people have gone from the female to the male prison?
0.
And how many more are they?
There are 287 pending applications.
To go from the male prison to female prison?
33.8% of that 287 are registered sex offenders, meaning this is not their first offense or a sex crime.
So you think some of these people are doing this on purpose, come to the female prison?
Yes, with bad intentions.
Do you think this number will grow over the next few years as more people find out that they can have this option to go into the female prison?
Absolutely. There are very few reasons why someone wouldn't want to take advantage of that. To be forcefully housed with a serial rapist is extremely callous and abusive. What it's done is provided the same privileges, the same opportunities to predator and victim. So no one is safe, just made the victim pool bigger.
So you have men in prison, in jails, as men, having committed the crime as a man, deciding while they're in jail, hey, I'm a woman, and they immediately transfer them to a woman's prison. Even with some men that may have been rapists. But it's a process to go through transition. So the hormones, the surgeries, who's paying for that? Is that coming out of the state? That's coming out of me and your pocket? As far as taxes? For a man that wants to go into a prison because he identifies as a woman, he may start taking pills, but that motherfucker dick can still get hard. And he was a previous rapist or current rapist. I know it was an article that was posted, it was some months ago. It was one of these guys that did that, and like 2 or 3 of the female prisoners came up pregnant. And this shit, again, makes sense to people personally, policy-wise, politically-wise, but there's no agenda. So I'm giving you this stuff up front of what's going on from, a personal and a political standpoint, but let's get into this parenting standpoint. Because they keep saying there's no agenda, but they're pushing it over and over and over and over again on the kids, and they're slowly leaking it in. Again, I'm gonna play this clip again.
What's something you learned growing up that apparently is no longer true?
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
again, tongue in cheek, but that's real as fuck. What's something that used to be true that now it isn't so much true? It's questionable. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Or do they? Get on to the next one. Now we got to talk about consent. What's the age of consent? Because we're talking about it from a sexual standpoint a lot of times of, oh, this young girl is being messed with R. Kelly, for example, picking up the girls from high school. This doesn't make sense to anybody. It's pedophilia outright. It's child rape, molestation, all that. But when it comes to small age children, they get to decide, you know what? I feel like being a boy today. When they were born as a girl, I feel like being a girl today. When they was born as a boy, and nobody's supposed to question any of that. And unfortunately, these woke parents are sending their children down a road of poor health. And I'm not just talking about mental health, physical health. Those hormone pills they're taking, the blockers, or to increase, testosterone if they want to transition into a male, or to outright surgery. But let's get into this consent idea and see where these parents' heads are at.
Whole push of transgenderism on children. My biggest concern is that if you are saying that a 12, 13, 14-year-old child can consent to something so drastic as a social, let alone medical transition, right? If a 13-year-old girl can consent to getting a double mastectomy, rendering herself infertile, going on hormone treatments, whatever it is, because she wants to be a quote unquote different gender, then you are eliminating the concept of children not being able to consent. This is the greatest danger of the push for transgenderism on children. It's not just women's sports or changing rooms or this or that. It's you are obliterating a hard line that we have always had in society about consent. Why can't a child get a tattoo? Why can't children smoke? Why can't they
get a car loan?
Why can't they what? Yeah, right. There's a lot of things we recognize fundamentally, legally, ethically, morally.
Brother's 100% right.
You've just crossed over into the twilight zone.
He's 100% right. When you start blurring those lines, when you start skewing them, now everything comes into question. Dave Chappelle, again, one of my favorite comedians, but he talks so much real shit. He had a stand-up years ago. How old is 15 really? People, oh my God, can't believe he said that. How old is 15 really? If you can't consent to sex, if, as the brother alluded to, you can't smoke, you can't drink, as an older or middle teenager, 15, 16, but at 5 or 6, you know that you're a girl. You know that you're a boy when you're born in the opposite body. And this shit makes sense to people. Not only just the parents that, want to be overly woke, but to medical professionals. I'm going to get in that in a second. But this is what I was speaking about earlier. You start blurring the lines and it does not stop. I got into a heated debate with my friend. This was 10 years ago, y'all. I swear to God, right hand to God, with my cigar. I'm not going to lie on my sticks. 10 years ago, I told a friend of mine, I was like, bruh, all this LGBT shit, this is where it's going to go. Well, just because they're gay doesn't mean they're pedophiles. I'm not saying that because you're gay, you're a pedophile. What I'm saying is because you're a pedophile, you don't get a pass for being gay.
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous.
But somehow, some way, we can overlook that. Broken Tradition, if you're still in here, bro, I came across your Members Only Live from a couple of months ago that you did with Shay when you were talking about that gay couple here in Georgia that was pimping their adopted kids out. That was reported and swept under the rug real quick. Had it been just a heterosexual foster parent, that shit would have been across the national news. They'd still be talking about it. A heterosexual male foster parent pimping out his young male children and his teenage adoptive daughter, the world would have blew up. But two gay men, they reported it real quick. Everybody made an ill face. Everybody went on about their goddamn business. And it's crazy. It bothers the shit out of me because you do not hold the LGBT community responsible. But if it's a man, then all of us responsible. Black, white, it don't fucking matter. If it's a nasty ass man, then we're nasty ass men. But if it's a LGBTQIA plus, again, what does that plus stand for? You can just remix that bitch as many times as you want to. You can do what the fuck you want to with that. And get off my soapbox. I said I was gonna let these clips speak tonight. Again, the link is in the chat. It's pinned to the top of the chat if somebody wants to hop on. But I'm gonna keep rolling with these clips because you're hearing from actual people who are having to live with this. Whether it's from a parental standpoint, you're gonna hear from some people that changed over too early in their teenage years, and now they regret it because they're going through so much pain from going through a transition too early. But let me get into this next clip.
Hi, for those that don't know me, my name is Aurora Regino, and I am the mother that filed the lawsuit in federal court against G.R.O.W.T.H for transitioning my daughter without my knowledge. I'm here today to tell my story so parents and the public know what is going on in our schools. Last year, my 11-year-old daughter was in elementary school here at G.R.O.W.T.H, and her elementary school transitioned her from female to male behind my back. Shortly before this happened, my father had recently passed away, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer. My daughter...
Pause it real quick. Notice she said elementary. What did we just get through talking about? This isn't just teenagers. These children are impressionable. The parents are impressionable. Let's continue.
My daughter was distressed and began questioning her sexuality, so she decided to reach out to a wellness counselor at her elementary school. The day my daughter shared with her guidance counselor that she felt like a boy, the counselor immediately affirmed this new identity. From then on, the counselor continued to have one-on-one meetings with my daughter without my knowledge. During one of those one-on-one meetings, my daughter told the counselor she wanted to tell me about her new identity. The counselor ignored her requests and did nothing to support her in letting me know what was going on at school. Throughout her transition, my daughter changed very quickly, was bullied, and as a result was very unhappy. And because her school kept this transition a secret from me, she was on her own. I'm a busy working mother, just like the rest of you. Before this happened to our family, I would have not believed this was going on in our schools, especially at the elementary level.
You heard it from the mother. Not at the elementary level. Maybe I got a couple years before I have to stress this a little bit. Hold on. Maybe I have a few more years before I have to stress this. When my child starts hitting puberty and, peer pressure and gets around friends and things of that nature. Or social media, maybe when they get a hold of a, this is elementary level. The child felt like something. You're not going to give your child a bunch of fucking candy. It's certain shit that you're not going to feed your child. But somehow, some way they can go into a school system and the school does this behind your back and you're not supposed to say anything about it. You got to wait to speak up at some forum or some city town hall meeting. Sue the shit out of these schools. If you can't sue the school, sue the individual counselor. Even if you don't get anything, make their life a little bit miserable. Start bringing this shit to the forefront. And I know these people are in their respective places in the country and they're trying, but y'all see this is across the country. People are in their respective places trying to fight this because it's permeated. It's coming through this. It's coming through a cell phone. It's coming through these cameras. So to pretend like this shit is not real, it'd be disingenuous at best. At worst, it's just a flat out lie and there is an agenda that people have been murmuring about for the longest, but everybody wants to seem to fight against. I'm gonna play one more clip and then I'm gonna get to the comments as a plane goes over.
Via has outwardly said in that tutorial time that being gay is a sin. she has been given a day of 2 days in the inclusion room, and the sanction
Why?
for this.
Why? Olivia is she's not having the inclusion, right? First of all, right, she was asked, right, her opinion, and she gave her honest opinion. I, for one, do not encourage any form of discrimination, right? And again, when she said it's a sin, she's coming from a religious perspective, as opposed to, okay, this is what I personally feel. Now, if Mr. Barney, is that his name, did not want an opinion, then he should not have asked her. Now, let me ask you a question. It's a faith school, right?
I'm going to have to end this conversation now because I really don't appreciate your tone.
No. Okay, you don't appreciate. Okay.
You see the way the teacher ran out the phone? I'm going to put your child at inclusion, which is what I'm assuming is in-school suspension over there. They sound like they're in the UK. Because the child gave an opinion. The teacher asked a fucking question. And the child answered. And the parent is pissed off about, hey, you're putting a bad mark on my child, pretty much, for having an opinion. And then further tries to explain and will get frustrated like anybody else as a parent would. You're punishing my child for no reason. Didn't call anybody out their name, didn't throw a chair. We have all these different mechanisms for when these badass little bastard children are out here acting a goddamn fool. But because this baby has an opinion about something, and then you'll turn around and tell her that her opinion doesn't matter or she's too young to have that opinion, but the other kids can have an opinion about whether or not they're a boy or girl. Make that shit make sense. Let me get to the comments. Benny, what's going on? I was reading your message, checking in. What's going on, brother? I appreciate you being in here. Wow, indeed. This shit is real, man. This is why I picked these clips. I was going to sit here and go through articles and stuff like that. I am going to get to some Broken Traditions articles that he sent me when we were talking about this last night. I want to read those briefly. But at the end of the day, I wanted people to hear it from the horse's mouth. So matter of fact, y'all stick with me. I'm going to pivot over real quick. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at some of these articles and then we'll come back to the clips and we'll get ready to wrap up. I'm not going to belabor the point. Y'all see this is an issue and we really need to start having this conversation because it's in the schools. And as I just played that clip, 2 of the parents are unaware. Wait till you get to the clips where the parents are aware and they've been so shamed, so to speak, to have their child go through this transition. And now you hear from the child's own mouth about how things go. But stick with me real quick. Let me share this screen. That's me 2 times. Bam. All right. Bring that up. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Let me click back on my software. Okay. I had to double check and make sure y'all can see that. I'm going to take myself down. But this is a tweet that Broken Tradition sent me from a group called Gays Against Groomers. This is a real Twitter page, y'all. Because I'm not, once again, that doesn't make you a pedophile just because you're gay. But if you are gay and are a pedophile, you're not going to get a pass for being gay. But Breaking, a transgender representative in Minnesota, has introduced a bill that will remove the inclusion of pedophiles from the protected class of sexual orientation. That means it will be illegal to discriminate against child rapists. This is what we have been sounding the alarm on. There is a concerted effort to normalize the sexualization of children and to legalize pedophilia. This is just one more step toward that end goal. We need everyone to join in this fight before it's too late. And here is the bill. I'm going to click on it real quick and then pivot to the other article. If it'll come up, there we go. Wait a minute, freezing. Go back. Why are you freezing on me? It's thinking, that's the person. Okay, we get it. Trans rights are human rights. Let's see if we can bring this article. There's a bill. Sexual orientation means having or being perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to another person without regard to the sex of that person, or having or being perceived as having an orientation for such attachment. Look, they're taking this out. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. Now, they're supposed to be trying to change that. Big red flag. Let me move on to this other article. This is from a brother named Zuby Music, also on Twitter. This is especially for the parents that may see this on a replay that'll watch it now. Roblox is super popular. I know my youngest daughter plays it a lot. That's like if she's allowed her screen time and on it, she's usually playing Roblox. But this is what the brother said. This is a message I received from a follower today. Must read for parents. Share with permission. You have no idea how deep the trans community preyed on children throughout the pandemic. I am dealing with it firsthand. Our daughter playing what I thought was a kids game, Roblox, that was filled with child predators. We pulled her away from it, and when she mentioned non-binary, she's okay now. Our son ventured around our account restrictions and onto Reddit. As he fell into deep depression from the lockdowns, he then fell even deeper into the Reddit trans activist community, air quotes, or as I call it, the child predator community. Our best efforts to get him out of this for almost 3 years has led to the deterioration of our relationship. He thinks he's a trans girl named blank and will no longer speak to us because we rightfully won't put him on hormones. Again, this is the parent's discretion. But you see the child is bucking, basically, is what we call it down the South when the kids are acting a damn fool. They bucking up. He doesn't want to speak to his parents, this, that, and the third. Let me continue. After he referred to me as a Nazi last week in support of trans genocide, I found it impossible to even communicate with him. They have him. Please keep doing what you're doing. You may save somebody's kid from this situation. I have no idea what to do with a remarkably bright kid who once had realistic ambitions of being an astrophysicist. His name is blank and I love him. And the thread just goes on and on and on with different parents with different stories. Get back to the screen. So while we're sitting here going back and forth with some of our coworkers, our family members about who's right to marry who, these are the little things that are seeping through the cracks that have trickled down. Again, I had a heavy debate 10 years ago with my partner that this is where it was going to go. He said that I sounded like a fucking idiot. I was a moron. That was never going to happen. And now there's an introduction of a bill. The fact that people even have to entertain the bill to deny it means it's coming. It only takes a majority. And typically, let me go ahead and hurt some feelings, especially to my black audience, it's going to come from the Democrats. The same people you fighting tooth and nail for are going to have this in your school, are going to have your kids doing shit behind your back because it's the law and it's legal. It's allowable. Slide over to the comments, see if I got anything else. Nope. All right, cool. We're going to keep on cooking. Let me get to this next clip. That was parent 2. Now here go. Just listen. This is another authority.
The American Medical Association has announced that the sex of a child should not be on a birth certificate because we don't know it until they choose it. This is the American Medical Association.
Can you pull this up?
Yes, pull it up.
The American Medical...
Yes, the American... See, this is the thing. People don't know the damage the left does to everything it touches: art, music, education, children, male-female relations, and medicine. It has corrupted the medical field. The American Society of, or American Academy of Pediatrics, or pediatricians, whatever the full name is, they've come out for affirmative care to give minors hormone blockers. I mean, that is evil. The American Medical Association has a...
Just in case y'all ain't hear it. Who?
The American Medical Association has announced that...
So you got the schools. First of all, you got social media, you got the schools, you got politics. Now you have the medical profession. But there's no agenda. There's no political agenda whatsoever. Let's move on to the next clip. These are people that are far smarter than me, far smarter than a lot of us. These are people in these professional fields, not to mention the people, the day-to-day people that have to deal with this. And somehow, again, some way, it makes sense to people to just allow this. Broken Traditions, I don't know if you're still in here, but I know you and Shay had something deep. Somebody was saying, when it comes down to, you know, some of these people being pedophiles or just pedophilia, period, it's going to get to the point where it's labeled as a sexual orientation, as mentioned, and then people that don't like it are going to start calling those people pedophobes. See, everybody's so worried about being called a whatever-ophobe that they'll stay silent on it. But not this guy, because this is going to be kind of a recurring thing, because this is a issue for me. I don't like people preying on kids. If anybody doesn't know it by now, Kofa love the kids. I don't like people preying on children, whether it be mentally or physically. And usually they start up here, they'll shame the parent, and then the parent will start letting things go. But again, let's move on.
Now, our first question is 3 times 3. Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
You think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class?
Don't be so racist.
I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah!
Questions are offensive. What's going on, Smoker Talk? I see y'all in here, Baltimore in the building. Appreciate y'all stopping in. If y'all seen the thumbnail, tonight I'm talking about the protection of children against LGBTQIA+, in particular, the trans community that are pushing this agenda, because we've talked about it. First, everybody went from liking the same gender to now they don't even want to be the gender, but they like the same gender, but they don't want to be the gender that they are, that they like. And somehow, again, this shit makes sense. But there's no agenda. Let so many celebrities tell it, there's no agenda. Let so many politicians tell it, there's no agenda. I've been playing a series of clips. We've checked off the school system. We've checked off celebrities. We've checked off the medical field. We've checked off politics. All 4 of those things are intertwined with pushing this message to kids that it's okay to transition. But now you were getting ready to get into the meat of it and hear from people from adults who transition too early. And you're going to hear them firsthand, the medical issues they have and the worry in their voice. I just really want you to pay attention to that, because I'm not here to say, oh, deaf to, F's and, the F word, or trans people, gay people, whatever. Live your life as an adult, but God damn it, allow these babies to go fully through puberty and hit 18 before they make this decision. And you start pumping them full of drugs. Because some of you motherfuckers out there are maybe offended by this, but you don't want your daughter on birth control, because that's going to tell you that she fucking. Some of y'all single mamas out there still see your son as your little 4-year-old baby boy. You don't want your brother, his uncle, to give him condoms, because he fucking. But somehow in our society, this is being pushed, that it's okay to pump these kids full of hormones that are either blocking their natural gender hormones that they were born with, or enhancing their hormones that they're trying to transition to. one or the other, or both, and it's acceptable. But let's hear from some of these people about their own issues that they've ran into.
At 16, the very first medical intervention I ever had was a double mastectomy.
Y'all give me one quick second. I know y'all can still hear me, but let me bring myself up on camera. This is the one, I thought it was the other video, but this one is a little bit low. So make sure you listen. But as they started out already, the first medical procedure they had was at 16. They had a double mastectomy, had their breast removed at 16, but can't consent to sex. But let's listen. Let me start it over real quick. My bad.
At 16, the very first medical intervention I ever had was a double mastectomy. A few months later, I was then put on cross-sex hormones. I am now 21. I live with constant joint pain, to the point that it is so bad that I have not been able to get out of bed to go to class some days. My vocal cords ache, my breasts are gone, and I will never know if I will be able to carry a child, because there's a good possibility I'm sterile. You call this care. I could not consent to this due to both my age and my mental health conditions, yet you call this care. My parents were baited with the idea that I would commit suicide if this was not given to me. They were told, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? These are not the words of a doctor. They are the words of a politically motivated activist. Kids deserve a chance to grow up whole. They deserve a chance at life. My parents were baited with the idea that I would commit suicide if this was not given to me. They were told, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? These are not the words of a doctor. They are the words of a politically motivated activist. Kids deserve a chance to grow up whole. They deserve a chance at life.
Again, I'm flip-flopping because you want to be a Decepticon and then you want to be an Autobot. But this is what happens when the parents are baited into that. You heard it from that person's own mouth. Parents were basically baited and shamed into allowing their 16-year-old daughter, to remove breasts, go through this hormone change, and now looks like he's living as a woman, wanting to transition back, but now it's too late. Having things change, vocal cords ache, so sore can't get out of bed to go to class. Still progressing in life, and this is within the first 5 years of this. So I wonder when the decision was made by them to transition back or stop their transition after 16. Was it after the first surgery? But that was the first surgery they said they had. Maybe it was the second. Hey, I'm gonna be okay, and it may have gotten progressively worse. Don't want to put words in a person's mouth. But again, you want to go from a Decepticon to an Autobot. Let me get to some of these comments. Oh, peace, Smoke and Talk. Let me go ahead and thank y'all publicly. I got it. I appreciate it. Y'all gave me that what we call it, that $2 holler. I'm gonna see if y'all know about this.
These last $2.
Old blues singer down here in the South, Johnny Taylor, had a popular song named These Last $2. Still one of my favorite blues records. But I appreciate you, Smoke and Talk, all the way from the A to B more. I appreciate it. And get some more of these comments. Now Beanie just hit us with a very confused face. Yeah, the manipulation is too much, man. It is very shameful. Again, but this person is 16 and now they're 21. But I want you to hear from somebody else, so we're gonna keep it rolling. I got a few more people in here now, so I might circle back to some of these earlier clips, but it's okay. We're gonna keep on cooking. But again, the reason why I'm showing the clips is because I want y'all to hear it from the person's mouth. This isn't hate. This isn't, down with, the Rainbow Coalition and all that shit. We hear it all the time. You get to live your life as you want to as an adult, because I don't want you to tell me how to live my single male life, my single heterosexual male life here in the city of Atlanta, Georgia, with all this beautiful chocolate. No matter how crazy these bitches may be, I don't want you telling me how to live my damn single life. so I'm not going to tell you what to do with your shit. However, when it comes to these babies, when it comes to pushing this agenda, and then we act like it's not that, then you start blurring the lines of how old is 16 really. That I don't want you getting mad at my 19, 20-year-old nephew for showing up to high school to pick up your fucking daughter. Because we've passed a law where the same daughter can decide she wants to be a boy, or somebody's son can decide he wants to be a girl, as we just saw in that last clip. But let's get to the next one. Where was I at? This one blew my mind when I found it.
I'm an almost 30-year-old man. This is what I look like. This is what I sound like as an almost 30-year-old man. This is what happens when you let people transition in adolescence before they had a chance to grow up, before they had a chance to even learn who they were. Not just let, but pressure. Pressure people to transition at these ages. Young, vulnerable people who are already so suggestible. And I feel like everyone is ignoring the pain because they are afraid that it threatens their choices and their narrative. If you want to transition in your 20s, you've had a chance to be a man or a woman, and this is what you want to do, okay, that's one thing. I do take accountability. I did it in secret from my parents. I take accountability for all my choices. But when is the trans community going to take accountability for theirs? For leading me down this path? This is the face of an almost 30-year-old man. This is the voice of an almost 30-year-old man.
The thing is, when these teenagers are impressionable, because some of us don't want our kids using social media so much, right? Because they're impressionable. You don't want the wrong person to get your daughter's box. You don't want some woman flirting with your son, trying to get a little bit of change out of him, or grooming him for sex because he's only 16, but he's 6'2", and he plays the shit out of basketball. So you don't want these older women flirting with your son online, right? But as that person just said, they're almost a 30-year-old man. That's what they look and sound like because they started transitioning too early, and they take accountability. Salute to them. But the LGBTQIA plus trans community has to take accountability for putting pressure on these teens to, guess what? Do what you feel. Everybody's so focused on feeling better. My personal stance is I want us to be better. So since you want to talk about, oh, we're just focused on being a good human being, cool. You be a good human being until you grown and you 18 and you can do what the fuck you want to do. Where your ass can actually pay for hormones. Where your parents aren't struggling to appease you. Because as the person said before in a couple clips before, well, do you want a dead daughter or a living son? Because at 16, her brain was so scrambled that she felt like she needed to have her breast removed. So as any parent scares the shit out you, you want a living child. You're not going to throw your child out in the street. I know we hear those stories all the time. Again, a narrative and agenda. We're going to push so much negative shit out there. But it's so many people that are going through this and they're just simply confused. When it boils down to it, and somebody is leading them down this path, as that person just said, that when is the trans community going to take accountability for leading teenagers and young impressionable people down this path? Let me get to some of these comments. Oh, lost it. Peace, Aaron. That is tough. Yeah. And now that person has to live. That's a grown man. Don't look like it, don't sound like it, but was adamant. This is what it sounds like. Beanie says, these talks they share remind me of talks about drugs when I was a child. But you gotta think, they're on those hormone pills, bro. So it kind of is gonna go along with those lines. And now they're afraid to, because guess what? If they stop, some people, if they stop in the middle, just like any other medication, if they stop taking their medication and things start to revert back, they're gonna be in even more pain. They gotta deal with the pain just to pop the pills and do what they're doing to transition fully and safely. There may not be any going back from a health standpoint, But a lot of people don't think like that. They don't want to talk about that. We do not do a good job of fleshing this out. Everything is about shaming somebody into allowing somebody to do whatever the full free fuck what they want to do, until you end up with a 30-year-old man that looks like an almost 30-year-old lady and sounds like it. Let me get to this next clip, y'all. I promise you we coming to an end, but I just had to talk about this, man. I started seeing this stuff on my timeline on such a regular basis.
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male through synthetic hormones and surgery. I will never be a man. Is it transphobic for me to tell the truth? Why is it that a couple hundred years from now, if you dug up my body, they're gonna go, yeah, that was a woman, had babies.
Can you tell me about the procedures that you had?
I've had 7 surgeries. I've had 1 stress heart attack. I've had a helicopter life ride with a pulmonary embolism. I've had 17 rounds of antibiotics. I had 6 inches of hair on the inside of my urethra for 17 months. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not gonna live very long.
I gotta play that one again, y'all. This one was a gut punch for me too. Just listen to the story. Listen to the admission of, I know physically I'm a biological woman, but this is what I chose to do, but this doctor misinformed them. And because, just like the medical profession does, you don't have insurance, fuck you. But had a 6-inch hair in their urethra. Can you imagine? Brothers out there, have you ever just been washing your ass and soap got in like your dick hole? That quick ass pain where you just gotta rinse that motherfucker out real quick. Imagine what this person went through. A hair is sitting in their piss tube. That's the urethra for those that don't know the medical terms and all that. So I gotta play this one again. Just listen, man.
I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male through synthetic hormones and surgery. I will never be a man. Is it transphobic for me to tell the truth? Why is it that a couple hundred years from now, if you dug up my body, they're gonna go, yeah, that was a woman, had babies.
Can you tell me about the procedures that you had?
I've had 7 surgeries. I've had 1 stress heart attack. I've had a helicopter life ride with a pulmonary embolism. I've had 17 rounds of antibiotics. I had 6 inches of hair on the inside of my urethra for 17 months. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not gonna live very long.
They get infections every 3 to 6 months. This person is dealing with their own mortality because of how they felt. Went through the proper steps. Now they're in constant pain. So we heard about these transitions from these people's own mouths, about the pain that they're in. Remember, that's how we pretty much lost Kanye mama, years ago. Too many surgeries back to back. Your body is not supposed to be cut open like that. And morphed and changed, and now you're adding hormones on, like you're literally changing who you are. This is some shit we accept. I'm gonna pivot real quick. I'm a fucking nerd. I believe in aliens and shit. People tell me I'm fucking crazy. This shit happening in front of us, but it's okay. No matter how much pain these people say they're in. And these are adults. So you're hearing them go through this as children, teenagers. These are well-educated adults, people living this shit. And when I say educated, I don't give a damn about a degree. I'm talking about life experience educated. And they're sharing their stories. But guess what? So many other people that want to push the agenda, LGBTQIA+ and friends, want to push this agenda and stay silent when these people come out and tell their stories. So if you're going to support the trans community, why wouldn't you support these people when they're telling you to, at least on the low end, wait? Be a little bit more patient, especially as parents. Don't get shamed, tricked into this. Why wouldn't you wait? Why would you want your child to go through that? But everybody want to play that mental health piece. Oh, they're so depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was afraid they were going to off themselves. Well, at the time, I felt like I was a 16-year-old. Now, you don't listen to no 16-year-old under any other goddamn circumstances for no other motherfucking reason. But you telling me, as a parent, you're going to pay for all this hormone surgery. Or synthetic drugs. Shit, they haven't even fucking perfected yet. They don't even got this shit down to a so-called science. But you're going to allow your child to pump that in their body. If some of you motherfuckers don't allow your kids to drink soda because it's too much sugar. But you're going to let them lay on a table and get cut open. Get this added or this taken away. I'm getting to these last clips, man. Again, I see some, a few more people had came in and out. The chat is, the interview button is pinned to the top of the chat. If y'all want to come in and just discuss this. This was an interesting one too.
Somebody's got some serious explaining to do. Now, every time we bring up the trans LGBTQ agenda and the push to sexualize our children, we're told that gays just want to live in peace, leave the trans alone, all of this victim speech and narratives that are making it out like we are just after gay people and we want to ruin their lives to live and their abilities to live in peace. Well, check this out. The Florida LGBTQ group in charge of the Pride Parade is canceling the entire parade as a result of the bill being passed by Governor DeSantis not allowing children at drag shows. So since the children will potentially not be able to go to Pride Parade anymore, they have canceled the entire event. Over here you can see what they released on social media, saying that they are sorry, but we have to cancel it as a result of this legislation. Make that make sense. If you are not trying to groom our kids, if it was never about the children and it's just about gay rights and you want to live in peace, why can't you party it up for Pride with your adult cohorts? Why is it a letdown that our children are unable to attend now? Somebody's got some explaining to do.
You want to be a Decepticon one day and flip to an Autobot.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Again, this makes sense. We're talking about an entire Pride Parade. You know we've seen that shit publicly. They've painted streets. I know we got one downtown, midtown Atlanta here. They've done all this shit. They're so prideful, pun intended, but because the children can't attend, oh, we gotta shut this motherfucker down. What you mean the kids can't come? And I know I've shared a lot of clips tonight. This is like half. I know I've shared at least 7, 8, 9. I ain't even gonna count them. I've shared a lot of clips tonight. This ain't even half of what I found. I won't even get into the children that where they're having child drag shows. Literally. Not even going to show the clip where, because it has kids in it, where they have some drag queen, some cross-dresser that came and was giving a teenager a lap dance, a 10th grader a lap dance at the school. What kind of fucking pep rally is that? I have not seen shit like this. Never thought I was going to see shit like this. Then when we're talking to young people, they're telling us, oh, this is our time, this is how we live. But guess what? We're the first set of parents that got to parent this shit. Did anybody think about that? There is no fucking playbook. when you're doing the best you can as a parent, then something like this gets thrown in. I can see how some parents, not this guy, but I can see how some parents can get shamed into thinking, oh, this is the best for my child. Again, had conversations. Again, had conversations with one of my male friends. Heated debate about this shit. But I always wonder, the people that say they're supporting this, what if it was your child? Gotta ask the question, what if it was your child? Would you feel as adamant about supporting if it was your child? And I would dare to say most people would not. All that support talk and bullshit and we just gonna vote blue no matter who. Because again, for those that weren't in here, it's gonna be the Democrats to sign these bills and push this shit. It's gonna be them. While everybody mad at Trump and, you know, the right. When it boils down to it, it's gonna be the Democrats signing these bills, approving these laws and things like that. And then your children, just like they did with these young girls being able to either go get abortion or get a plan B without notifying their parents, but they're on their parents' insurance. Or they're taking, again, tax dollars from the state to provide these girls with these outlets, so to speak, to either stop from getting pregnant or having the abortion. Once again, it's always a catalyst. Said it 100 times. The horse is out the barn and it has ran down the dirt road. I'm gonna get into this last clip because a lot of people think this does not have a mental health implication, but I'm hesitant to talk about the mental health implication because then people are gonna start using that as an excuse just to run with everything, which they're already doing. But then when you inject the mental health portion into it, it goes back to that bill I showed you on Twitter, where you're trying to erase pedophilia being pedophilia, and now it's just some type of sexual orientation. Because it's a mental health thing. And Lord knows you can't beat up somebody with autism, can you? Can't check somebody that has an actual mental retardation going on. Can't do that. So when you start shifting it over there, slowly just two-stepping over that motherfucker, this is where we're at right now, and it's coming within the next couple of years. There's gonna be some state somewhere, my money's on Florida or California, even with what they just pushed in Florida, because I think Dwayne Wade said he was moving his family out because they weren't accepting there. But those are some crazy ass states with some crazy ass laws. But my big money's on California, maybe New York. I forgot. New York, California, or Florida. But everybody forget Florida, the South, so that may be a reach. But California and New York, I can definitely see them passing this shit first. But I'm gonna get into this last clip. This is a true story. This ain't no made up internet shit. You can go Google this person's name and see what happens when you want to walk in these shoes as a man and start questioning shit.
Nora Vincent has died by assisted suicide. She was a radical feminist who believed men lived on easy mode and tried to prove it by disguising herself as a man for 2 years.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they don't have it better.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue.
Ended up hating women because of how bad women would treat her. She couldn't understand why women had no sympathy, had no empathy towards her. She was a man with no status, and she couldn't understand why women didn't give a shit. And she ended up killing herself. Now,
it's a very sad story.
It is a sad story.
But it does paint a picture about the world that we already know and that we try to help.
Again, think they can fill men's shoes. Bring it back to my normal content. It's a lot of women out here think they can fill men's shoes. This is why so many of these bitches out here losing their goddamn mind. Now you got a woman that was gay. She was a lesbian, but she thought men lived on easy street, staunch feminist, wanted to live her life as a man, couldn't take the pressure, killed herself. Excuse me, went through the self-checkout line. Sorry, YouTube. Went through the self-checkout line. Couldn't handle the pressure of being a man for a year. A fucking year. I'm 41 years old. The fact that I have dealt with depression, that I have had suicidal ideations in the past, when I ain't have 2 pennies to rub together and I'm trying to figure out how to make sure my daughter is good, hell or high water, I can always stand on that I had my lights on, but just trying to figure out that next step to progress, and you feel like you just stagnant, just floating in water, and ain't nobody gonna throw you no lifeline, and you have to get to swimming yourself. I have dug myself as far as I can out of depression, and I still have my bouts with it. It's not going nowhere. But to actually go through with going through the self-checkout line, haven't done it yet. Not planning to do it. Got too much life to live. But here you have a woman thinking she can fill a man's shoes. Here you have this agenda being pushed on young boys to become women and young girls to become men. And like they said in the clip, like she said in the clip, men have different problems. They don't have it easier. I'm a firm believer in that. Most women don't necessarily have it easier. They just got different problems. It all depends on how you handle it. But because how women are wired, they usually dig themselves in deeper from an emotional standpoint. This is why they shit looks so fucking chaotic. But as a man, I got to walk this straight and narrow. She could no longer be a woman living as a man. So plenty of times her ass probably wanted to react. She couldn't because she was living as a man for that year. And the pressure got to her. She folded like hot laundry. It's a sad story. I don't talk ill about the dead. But she went through self-checkout because pressure bust pipes. I've seen plenty of brothers under pressure and they came out like a diamond. But for those where pressure did bust that pipe and that brother went through self-checkout one way or the other, drinking, drugging, sex, actual self-deletion, people clown us as men. But then when we talk about topics like this, like I played it before, some more people in here now, I'm gonna play this. It's a joke, but it's not because it's just real. Oh, let me get to it. Oh, let me find this video. That's not it. Oh my God, something moved. But where the guy was, oh, here it goes.
Can I talk about abortion? No, because you don't have a uterus. If I don't have uterus, can I be a woman? Of course you can.
Make it make sense. This is how society thinks nowadays. Unfortunately, this is where we're at. But again, y'all, I just wanted to share this tonight. This is the stuff we got to tackle as men. I know this isn't the usual content for the channel. I can talk about more than these dizzy ass, bird brain ass broads. But because they're so supportive of each other and so supportive, we talk about it all the fucking time. They support the LGBTQIA+, everything else. And now it's here. And now when these men are becoming women, they're becoming Woman of the Year. They're taking women's spots. And now some of the women are mad. But this is what happens, ladies, when you don't follow male leadership. Actual leaders, not motherfuckers that run off at the mouth. Not the tall 12-year-olds, as I say, that you like getting fucked by. Actual male leaders. Hey, this is where we're going with this family. This is where we're going as a community. Again, the horse is out the barn. It has ran down the road. Let me get to these comments. Let me check my phone for any other cash apps, any other messages come through. All right, good on that end. Beanie, I appreciate you being in here. Broken Traditions, appreciate you being in here. Smoke and Talk, Aaron. No, we didn't have a big audience tonight. I know this isn't the sexiest topic to talk about, but I do appreciate y'all rocking with me because it is an issue and it's coming. Again, had that argument with my friend 10 years ago. Now we're here. Politics, school system, medical field, court of public opinion, and the list goes on. So again, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all know what I always lead with. Where is it? I lost it. I had to update my my soundboard. It's so much stuff I got on here, man. This thing is ridiculous. It's growing. I'm trying to keep up with Do Better Podcast. Trying to keep up with Theo Coop. Man, it's there we go. Y'all know how I end it.
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just because you don't like the way another nigga talk.
As always, brothers, you matter. You're not crazy. Make better choices. Peace.